World's collide. We got fire in our souls. We got vibe inside our bones. It's alive. I'm about to launch the place, way up into outer space. It ain't even called a race. When I'm running forward, won't look backward. You're chasing me, I've got a story, life isn't boring. I call that a win. Worlds collide. We got fire in our souls. We got vibe inside our bones. It's alive. Worlds collide. We got swagger in our hearts. All this movement that we brought, it's alive.
All right, here we are for this live stream. So welcome everyone. I hope you enjoyed that video. I did for a fact. It's amazing to see the usage of the Substance line of tools in so many areas, like video games, obviously visual effects, but also fashion, also architecture, also industrial design at large. It's amazing to see. How much the large spectrum it is in the use cases of Substance overall. So I want to extend a big thank to the industries and the users and the community, and for their usage of our tools. So it's always good to be here. So it's been quite some time where I haven't been talking to you directly. So I'm very happy today to be here again. I think last one was in January, in fact, and so it's good to be back here. So I will say only a few words about the fact that I want to mainly thank the community for two reasons. One is it's, as I was saying, it's amazing to see the great art and the great work that everybody's doing using the tools that we produce, and this is the best for us. Like, I mean, as tool makers, our main joy comes from the fact that we see so many incredible stuff being created with what we create ourselves. So it's a great thing. And then during the whole live stream, you will see more of that, and that's amazing. Also, the second thing is I want to thank every customer of ours to have been doing the transition from algorithmic, so I'm talking about the texturing tools here, but from algorithmic to Adobe. When we joined the group, obviously we had to do some form of transition, and we're very, very happy to see that a super large number of our users before are still our users today and are following us in this new journey. And so it's wonderful, and we want to extend a big thank you here. And again, today we will go through a lot of features, a lot of new announcements that we would like to make, and hopefully you see that it's very alive. We're very proud of what we're doing and very excited about the future. Also very excited about the past. Like this year only, we released so many interesting new features, like the 3D warp in Substance Painter, for instance, the new GPU accelerated renderer and Stager, and all these new staging functions and functionalities in Stager as well. Sampler went through a full redesign, and you will see more today. And of course, the parametric assets and parametric meshes building in Designer is amazing, and all the content that you've seen in the video as well, and that has been produced. We've never been so actually active, even though the circumstances are such that we all work from home again, and we have to go through all this. But so I want to extend also a big thank to the team, and now I guess it's time to get into the meat of it. So I just wanted to say thank you, welcome, And you will be in good hands now with the amazing panel that we've gathered to show you all the interesting stuff that are coming. Thank you. So Wes, I guess it's you now.
Great, thank you, Seb, and hello, everyone. We are so glad to have you here with us. Today, we have the product teams and the art and development team on the live stream. We have Vincent, Marie, Casimir, Vladimir are in the chat, so feel free to ask questions. We're also going to have a live Q&A session after the show. So our speakers today will be, well, of course, Sébastien, and we're going to have Jeremy, who will be giving general updates. Kelly will be highlighting art from the community. Valeria will provide updates around the latest Painter release, and Jeanette will provide updates around the latest Stager release, and Lydia will provide updates to the Substance Modeler private beta. And as is tradition, we're going to kick things off with stunning artwork from our community. So take it away, Kelly, when you're ready.
Hi, everyone. I'm super happy to be here with you today to showcase some of the incredible work from our community. As Seb said, this really drives us as product developers, so we're always excited to see what you're creating. And some of these creations were produced in partnership with my team, Art and Development. So let's take a look. And I'm not seeing the slides yet, so there they are. There they are. All right, we got it. All right, so first we have the ProX spacecraft by Gessi Bekaye. And I always love to see a good ship concept, especially you know, the details that show how this ship could actually function if it were real, like the engine thrusters on the back, which I think is a nice detail. Gives you a quick understanding of how this thing would work. And next we have Nico by Skiva. We always love Eugene's work. He's been a partner of ours for many years, and we actually just used some of his stuff for a fashion event. Excuse me. And I really love the fabric folds on his work, and especially the poses that he makes with his humans. I think that this is a very fashion forward type of work. Yeah, and of course, the transition from kind of a marble to a real world fabric texture is incredible. And next we have the guitar pedal by Daniel Santos. And I love this too. It's like something, you know, that would be real. I love the rubber texture, the wear and tear. You just really want to reach out and stomp on it with your foot. With your foot. It's a gorgeous texture job by Daniel. And next we have Ruinous Opulence by Stéphane Dequinois. And what I love the most about this one is the real luminous skin that we have here and the kind of contrast between light and dark. It actually reminds me a lot of the Ophelia painting. I'm forgetting the name of the artist, but I just love this. It's a real moody feel with a lot of emotion behind it. And next we have Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window scene. This is by Thomas Ripoll Kobayashi. He recreated the set of Rear Window, the amazing movie by Alfred Hitchcock. If you haven't seen it, you should watch it. I love seeing this. It actually, he produced this in Unreal. I just want to get in there and walk around. Love it. Makes me want to rewatch the movie. And next we have Rudu City by Cheng Il. I love the dark atmosphere here and the kind of smoggy sky and the smoggy atmosphere here. And next we have Keyboard for Space Communication by Neil Hawari. And I can't get enough of these kind of like retro electronics that have lots of wear and tear. This one in particular, I just love the numbers. Every time I look at it, there's something, you know, more interesting to see. Next we have Boat Diorama by Ali Mashasha. The concept is by Mike Azevedo. I can't get enough of these dioramas, like these kind of like subtle animated things that people are doing. Bright, colorful, you want to reach in and grab it. I know I keep saying that, but those are the textures and materials that appeal the most to me, where I just want to jump in and be in that scene. This one's called Fishing at the Old Chapel by Victoria Zavhorodnia, and the concept is by Lorenzo Lafranconi. Another gorgeous, bright, beautiful land. This feels very fantasy, almost like a game island that I would journey to. And this is an Unreal using Painter and Designer. And this one I absolutely love. This is a collaboration that we did with Stephanie Creek. It's called Mother and Calf. The incredible pose that we have here with the trunk wrapping around the baby. And it's just hyper realistic. And we don't see a lot of that. A lot of things we see are a lot more fantasy driven, which is absolutely great. But it was just a nice breath of fresh air to see these kind of dark, realistic textures in a piece. And next we have The Queen and Her Pet by Glauco Longhi. This is another collaboration we did. I absolutely love this queen. I think she's amazing. I love her slug pet draped around her neck like a scarf with lots of drool and energy here. I love this woman. And next we have The Paris Street by Silke Vandersmissen. This is gorgeous lighting mood, and I'm loving these renders that we're seeing everywhere where it looks like a still picture, but there's a really subtle animation or effects inside the scene with these leaves falling. I just think this is absolutely stunning. And finally, we have The Water Temple Scene by Sergei Panin, and the concept is by Eddie Mendoza. This is a totally insane, moody scene. I love it. I love the warmth inside the building and how it transitions to the crazy stormy cold outside during the cinematic. Gorgeous, gorgeous work by Sergei. And that is it for me. And it's always, like I said, always super incredibly inspiring to see what you guys are creating with our tools. Can't wait to collaborate with more of you, and you keep us going with our tool development. So thanks again. And back to you, Wes.
Thank you so much, Kelly. That was awesome. I mean, the artwork is just so inspiring. That always has to be the best part of the show, is just seeing all of the work from the community and just, all of the creativity that's out there. It's like I said, it's quite inspiring. Also, Kelly, so great to have you here on the live stream. I have to say it's a great honor to be able to work with you on a daily basis as well. So with that said, Jeremy, let's hear from you. I think you have some really cool general updates for us. Take it away, man.
Thank you, Wes. Sorry, if Zoom let me unmute myself, I can actually talk. Hi, guys. I have updates for you. And first, we'll start with just if you want to see more content. We saw this amazing artwork that Kelly was showing. And we have that amazing team at 3D and I at Adobe that really goes out of their way to find really cool articles and really cool user stories to bring to you guys. And so we have this magazine on the website. I have tons and tons of these very inspiring articles about game, movies, product design, all kind of 3D work. I really invite you to go take a look at those. As well, also a quick reminder that Adobe Max took place last month, and you can still access the labs and sessions that were around 3D for free on the Max website. And there's about 16 of them. You can go look at some really cool workshops and sessions from people from the team and also from customers. Another thing to just call out also is that we're switching our newsletter. We used to have a kind of algorithmic newsletter. We're switching to a Adobe newsletter with a new format and a few new changes. It's coming soon. You can't yet register for it, but just keep a lookout. You'll be able soon to register in that new newsletter to be able to stay up to date with all the stuff that's coming to Substance 3D. All right, though, let's dive into the thick of it. First, let's talk about Steam. Steam kind of holds a special place for us, not only because a lot of us are gamers and have an undisclosed number of games we have yet to play in our backlogs, but also because that's where the Substance community really started. It started, back in 2013, where we released Designer and then Painter in 2014 on the platform. And it was very bourbon then, but the excitement around the release of Painter was one of the best periods of algorithmic for me, and I'm sure for others, where really that community kind of built up around these two apps. So fast forward 8 years and 7th version of Painters on Steam, and the community is thriving, and we're really happy with how things are going on Steam. So we figured, the more the merrier. Let's bring everybody on Steam where it all started. So starting November 24th, in 2 days from now, Substance 3D Sampler, which was Alchemist before, and Substance 3D Stager will also be available on Steam as perpetual licenses along Painter and Designer. So on November 24th, you'll be able to purchase the 2022 versions of Painter, Designer, Sampler, and Stager. giving you access again to perpetual license with free updates until the end of 2022. Also, the 4 apps will be on sale. And like previous years, we'll have extra loyalty discount to upgrade to the new Paint Your Own Designer for those of you who already have the previous version. So that's it for our big first announcement. I can't see the chat right now, but I'm assuming people are happy to hear about this. I don't know, Wes, if you can see what's happening in the chat, but we're super excited to bring all those apps on Steam.
Yeah, it's quite awesome, Jeremy. Yeah, and like you said, like it's just something we've wanted to do for so long. And I think I saw some of the chat coming in was like, oh, they're gonna get rid of Steam. They're gonna get rid of Steam. And then all of a sudden, people are like, wait, what did he say? You know. So yes, all of the apps on Steam. That is awesome, man. Really cool.
We're super happy about it. Cool. Now we're actually going to look into the product updates. We have, as we said, the 2022 versions of all these apps coming in. And so we have some really cool stuff to show. And the first thing we want to start with is the content. So before going into the app, let's start with the content. And so we have some really cool content coming up to the assets platform. And we have a few videos to kind of show you some of the stuff that's coming to the platform. So the first one here is a really cool, it's called Bale Islands. It was created by the 3D asset team under the artistic direction of Pierre-Antoine Muello. And it's a collection of 150 new styled asset models and materials that are really cool. The second video is showcase some of the assets also that we have as more of a packaging collection coming up with, again, some really cool models and materials. Overall, on the Substance 3D asset platform, we now have more than 10,000 assets, most of them parametric, providing millions of potential variations. Since June, we added thousands of 3D models with consistent poly count and texel ratio, unique UVs, and clean, quad-based, subdivision-friendly topology, something that you can really find nowhere else. All these assets can be used as is or modified to use in any kind of project, commercial or personal project. We also added environment stages. So these are package lighting environments that have an IBL, and those IPLs are parametric, which means that each light source in that IBL can be modified independently, as well as, so you can change the color and the intensity of each light separately. And also these come with a set of high resolution backplates for each of the environments. So you can create very high quality, realistic renderings. We also have, between now and the end of the year, we'll add 1,500 new 3D models and 250 new parametric materials. To wrap up this assets section, let's have a look at a brand new collaboration between the assets team and Roland Mahon, showcasing some of the 800 now automotive assets, materials, and models we now have available on the platform. And we'll show that using a revamped version of our very own car design, the X-Ton. Let's look at the video. That was awesome. Really amazing work on that video with the new remodeled car with the new inside, the new interior. Looks really great. So now let's switch to the community assets. So last year we also launched a new version of our what was called Share before, called Community Asset now, and it's growing. It's growing. We have about 350 materials now. 140 smart materials, and since a couple of weeks, we now support 3D models. So you can actually bring in your FBX or GLTF files, you can upload them and share with the community as well as models. And these models can also include textures if they come as a GLTF. So next up, let's talk about Substance 3 Designer. So Designer this year adds a huge update, of course, in June with the introduction of the 3D model graph creation. We have a new update coming up again on the 24th, in 2 days from now, 11.3. And there's a few cool features we want to call out. You can now maximize any of the views. So if you just want to see your graph or just your 3D view, you can quickly, with the press of a button, maximize or revert that. You also have a shortcut to close all the packages at once. That was something that was a little annoying before. The new graph window has seen some improvements with better UX and more information. And of course, we have improvements to the modeling graph itself. You can actually preview a node while visualizing another one in the 3D view. And there's also new contents, new nodes using the particle workflow, shell, projection, some of the stuff we're going to show you in a few seconds. And improv interrupt as well. You can now send your parametric models from Designer directly into Stager, which is amazing. And you can also receive SBS and SBSAR from Sampler. So you can send those from Sampler to Designer. And to show you a little bit more about this new version of Designer, I think Wes and the team prepared a little video. So go ahead, Wes.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jeremy. So the examples and workflows that you're about to see, they were created by Luke and Celine from our team. I just helped out with the voiceover, so I wanted to give a very special thanks to them for their work on this content. We have added several new nodes in this update to Substance 3D models. Let's dive in and take a look at some of these nodes, starting with the addition of particles. Particles provide an easy way to visualize a point cloud as well as create distribution rules. You can now generate a point cloud using the particle node. You can create a single particle or generate a grid. Once you have generated the particles, you can then instance geometry based on the point cloud. Here you can see that I am using the geometry instancing node with the particle node to scatter a primitive. Of course, you can still generate a point cloud by extracting points from a surface or a curve. We now have a node called particle pruning, which allows you to remove particles using a volume. In this example, some of the roof tiles are removed using a sphere. In this example of an LED display, volumes are used to separate the particles into on and off states. These states are represented by two different materials. We also added the generative transform node. Here I am supplying particles from the particle node as input. Each time we are generating a new particle, the position of the new particle is based on the position of the previous particle. So here you can see that 50 particles are created and they are being moved 10 units away from each other. In addition, every time a new particle is created, it is being rotated, which creates this curly line. And now if I rotate on two different axes at the same time, we get this spiral. With this kind of transformation, you can easily create some complex distribution rules to create some interesting and abstract designs. Here we have a more fractal-based example. With the organic pattern node, you can distribute your particles using sequences such as Fibonacci. With this node, you can easily create foliage. In this example, you can see various organic patterns combined, and by playing with random rotation and scale, you can get lots of variation. Since we are working procedurally, simply adjusting the random seed allows you to get quick variation to your plants. Here you can see the new shell node in action to add thickness to your meshes. This can be beneficial if you're creating meshes from scratch. You can now send your Substance 3D models directly to Stager. Here I have this procedural wall frame, and I'm going to send this asset over to my Stager scene where I can continue to work with it procedurally. All of the assets and the Stager scene were created internally by the art and development team. You can see the asset was sent right to my open Stager scene where I can now stage the prop. Also, all the exposed parameters from the Substance 3D model are available in Stager for me to adjust. Now that the prop is set, I can jump to my camera view and enable ray tracing. With this release, we are able to easily move from model creation to rendering with the push of a button.
All right, thank you, Wes and team, for the video. It's always amazing to see all the cool stuff you can create with mold graph. I actually wish I had more time to play with it. We also wanted to give a shout out to some of our users who participated in Nodevember for the past few weeks, creating new node-based artwork every day. So first we have this delicious candy bowl from Anastasia Ozichinka. And we also have, next up we have this really cool kind of chandelier cup from Nikolai Demjanov, great use of displacement here, just creating a simple texture on the cylinder and being able to extrude it to create an actual 3D object. We also love this little cute ladybug by Emma Savary from France. And since we're talking about nodes, we always love a good layout and a good graph. So that graph is actually very neat for the complexity of the final result. So again, great job by Emma Savary. And finally, we have some amazing material work here by Joe Taylor with this kind of fields of strawberries and of wood logs. Again, very realistic material and rendering. So again, great job to all of you guys and the hundreds of other people who've built those participated in November this past few weeks. So next up, we're going to go and look into what's new in Substance 3 Sampler. So Sampler had an update back in September, pretty big update actually, where we introduced a new color picker that will be something that will come to all our apps. It's already in Sampler and in Painter, and will come to the other apps later on, as well as SVG support, and also be able to edit in Illustrator. So you can send your pattern from Sampler to Illustrator and back very quickly, which is very, very useful, especially for creating that kind of artwork you see on the right here. You can also export the ASM shader parameters values in SBSER, which means you can create very complex materials with translucency and subsurface scattering and have those translate into your SBSER when you bring it to other apps. And also, we also added a way to change the normal format between OpenGL and DirectX, which was something that was missing. We're also having a small update that allows you to send SBSER to Designer. As we said earlier, you can now send your material to Designer. And what's really exciting is we have another update coming later, and that will be 3.2. We just wanted to show you a quick preview of what's coming, and especially the physical size, which is a pretty big deal actually. Let's kind of roll the video. So what happens here, the physical size is when you create your material, you can actually set a very actual physical size. So you can measure the material you bring in, whether it's a photo or a set of photos. You can precisely measure and put that value in centimeters here, so that Sampler knows through your workflow what actual size that material has. So which means that now if we kind of edit the material and, for example, crop it, as we crop that material to the right size, the physical size will also be readjusted. So you keep that very real size as you work on your material. So now we're going to do a few adjustments here. Kind of get rid of some of the artifacts we see from the scan. We have the tidying here, and again, the tidying as we crop the material to tidy it a little bit, the physical size will also update. So it's always up to date and it's always the right size. And here we can make sure it looks good on our object. Then we can change the height scale. So we'll change the displacement. When we're happy with it, we can click on here to generate the actual depth. So now we have the width, height, and depth of the material are ready to go. And all these informations will be stored in the SBSAR when you export it, which means that if you bring that SBSAR into an app that actually supports the physical size, and in this case, for example, Clo, if you import that SBSAR in Clo, the tiling of your material will automatically be adjusted to make sure it fits the actual real size of the object you apply onto. So it's a huge size saver because you don't have to manually tile and make sure everything looks right. It will just look right by default. That's it for a sampler, and back to Wes now.
Thanks, Jeremy. That was some awesome updates. The model graph updates are actually quite awesome. I did get to play with those some, so that was really cool. The physical size for sampler is huge. That's been a pretty big ask, and it's pretty awesome how sampler is becoming just, you know, like a tool for just sampling the world around us. I wonder where that's going to go in the future, you know, if you think about it. But with now, we are going to toss it over to Valeria, who is going to be giving us some updates on Substance Painter. Take it away, Valeria.
Well, hello, everyone, and thank you, Wes. My name is indeed Valeria, like Wes said, that hasn't changed since. And I'm a product manager and a tech artist on the Substance Painter team. So we've got quite a few cool things to show in this live stream, so I'm just going to jump right in. And you might probably know that we've released the 7.3 version of Painter not that long ago, in October actually, and with the 7.4 coming out quite shortly. It will mark 2 major releases in 2 weeks actually, and why I mention this, it's not just for bragging rights, it's because I really would like to commend and congratulate the team, because as you might imagine, it's been a lot of hard work to make this happen. And as 7.3 is a rather recent release, what I'll be doing in my demo is demonstrating a couple of features from 7.3 as well. As for the 7.4, now drum roll, the main feature is color management. VFX artists rejoice, finally. And since we're speaking of the elephant in the room, and it's likely a very precisely pink color managed elephant, let me show you where color management lives in Painter. So imagine if I'm creating a new project. So Control N will bring up my new project window. And you'll see that we've got a new section here for color management. And if I open it up right now, I'm in color management legacy mode, which means if I create my project, nothing will change. But if I actually open this menu, I can switch to Open Color IO, and it will give me the Substance configuration, or I can choose from the several ACES configurations or custom, and it will let me choose the configuration file if it's a custom configuration file. Now, if you're using an environment variable that is set up by your TD, you don't really need to worry about it, but otherwise you can actually fiddle with the other settings over here. I'm not going to be creating a new project, so I'm going to close that. And what I've got here is a project called Arty. And Arty was created, well, designed specifically by Wes, sculpted by Gio, and textured by Geoffrey. So they're our art dev team, and Arty turned out pretty cute, but don't tell me, Matt, or there'll be jealousy involved, I'd say. So right now, Arty is not a color managed project, but I can turn him into one. And how can I do this is by going to Edit Project Configuration. And there's a little hidden bit here, which is color management. And lo and behold, it's pretty much the same menu that you saw in the new project settings. So you can switch to whichever legacy or open color IO setup that you'd like. And you don't even need to restart your project. Just one important thing that I'd like to highlight before we move on is that in Painter, we store color management settings per project. That way, if you're juggling between 2 computers, like especially these days, home office and just regular office, you won't lose what you worked on, and your project will always remain with the same settings. So let us close that down. I'll stop there for color management. I think that if you would like to get more details on what's changed, where to find things, please keep a lookout for documentation. It's going to be much more and better explained than I just did now, because I'm not a color management expert. Surprise. What I would like to talk about right now is one of the features of the 7.3, which is the warp projection. And to help me do that, I'm just going to find a resource here, which is called the spray paint tag. And what I'll do with this resource, let us zoom on Artie's head here. I'm just going to grab it as it's a decal material and maintaining Alt, drag and drop it onto Artie's head here. So it is upside down and it is a text tag and I don't want it to be upside down. So I'm going to change two things. I'm going to go into presets and select a crown. And I do not want my crown to be upside down. I am not Dr. Seuss, but there we go. It rhymes. So now our crown is turned the correct way. So I'm just going to bring it a little bit closer. And you might have noticed that although it is a decal, right now it has a slightly different mode. So before decals were in planar projection mode, and you can still make it so by going to the projection setting here and changing it to planar. But we've decided to change with the release the decals to be in the warp projection mode, just because it's a little bit more practical. We thought that you can drag around the full projection, but also you can edit separate points from it. And how can I do that is by going to Shift and V, and it will let me toggle between two separate modes. So right now I'm in vertex editing mode, and right now I'm in the global editing mode. So it just makes the workflow a bit more fluid. And you can do the same thing if you go to this menu over here, and these are the two modes basically. So now that I've got the vertices mode enabled, I will just move my vertices into place. And as you can see, they kind of stick to the surface of the mesh. So no problem here. And now I don't have a very complex surface here, but if I so wished, if I had like a more complex decal to place, I could actually add subdivisions only where I wanted to see those subdivisions. I don't have to subdivide the entire grid. So to do so, I'll go back to my warp menu and I'll select, just as an example, this horizontal split here. And as you can see, I can place my split wherever I want. So if I place it here, I can change my crown to be a little bit more distorted and go a little bit more down. So I like it as it is for now. For demonstration purposes, that's completely suitable. And one last thing that I'd like to change with the crown is its color. So Artie has a little bit of yellow here already, so I'd just like to go to that color. So if I scroll down, I can call up the color picker right there. The color picker is another big improvement that we made in the 7.3 release. So we've pasted on the old functionalities, but we did add a couple of cool things. Well, you still have the gradient here and you still have the picker, which I'll just grab here and drag onto the yellow over here. And what is pretty cool is that in the slider section, if I'm in RGB, I can go and switch it to the integer editing mode. So now you're able to edit RGB with the 255 values. And we've got the swatches section as well, where you can add a swatch just like that, easy. So you can kind of keep on working with this color in your project. And the swatches are saved in your next session as well. So you can keep on working with it even if you close Paint. So let us move on to the other 7.4 features. We still added a couple of new things, although color management, as you can imagine, was a pretty big one. And the first thing that I would like to mention is a bunch of content that we added to the asset panel, to the default library, so to say. We've got some materials and tools which were made by an external artist, Kay Vrind. So thank you, Kay, for your work. There's pretty cool stuff. So one thing that we've added is the scar decal material, which I'm not going to drag onto Artie because I feel like it's not really his aesthetic. And we've got the pocket decal material here, which at first regard might look simple, but actually if you fiddle around with it, you can really match it to the background of the fabric you're working with, so it can turn out pretty cool. And now if we go into the brushes and I type in tools, we got a couple of cool things here as well. Notably, some glitter. Glitter is always pretty cool. So I'm just going to select this glitter party here and we're going to go to town on Artie. So we've got some glitter, which looks pretty cool. And since tools are actually based on materials in the shelf, you can actually go into the materials and make your own glitter presets if you so wish. Okay, so apart from glitter, we've got a couple of apparel utilitarian things over here. We've got the tightening cord. We've got some zipper parts, which you can use either as a brush or just as a decal if you so wish, that you can drag and drop from the materials section. And apart from these materials and tools by K, we've also added a bunch of new grunge maps. So if I go into the textures here and I type grunge, well, it's 11 to be precise, 11 grunge maps, which were made by Emil Sligers. So thank you, Emil, as well. Wonderful work. I'm not going to go through all of those grunge maps, but I will let you discover them yourself. They're useful for masks and such things, just variations of texture. We've got one here, grunge brushed dust, which is pretty cool. And since I'm already on grunges, what I'm going to do is show you another cool thing that we've added for the 7.3 release is that now we can not only drag the materials as decals, but we can also drag bitmaps into the viewport. And I don't even need to maintain any shortcut to do so. I can just grab my bitmap and drag it onto the surface. And once I release it, it asks me where I would like to place it. I'm just going to say mask here. And as you can see, it's created this bitmap decal. And how I would use it myself is that if I want to set up my fill layer, not just as a decal, but just fill everything, I'm just going to go into the right-click menu. Sorry, clicking too much. And select the projection as triplanar projection. And as you can see, it's applied to the entire surface. Well, just wanted to share this tips and tricks, so to say, in case you don't want to add the layer itself by hand and then add a mask by hand, etc. This could be quite a neat trick, so to say. And before I leave, this is I've saved the last for well, the best for last, so to say. No, that's just my personal opinion. A pretty cool feature that we've added has to do with the 3D viewport, well, 3D and 2D viewport. And if I go into the viewport options right here, this menu over here, you'll see the two new options live right here. I'm going to press open 2D in window. And when I do, as you can see, it opens my 2D window in a separate window, which is pretty cool. And what's even cooler, I can actually drag it onto my second screen. You're going to have to take my word for it because you cannot see my second screen, obviously, but you can do so. And another additionally cool thing is that I can switch between the two. So I can even put my 3D view in this separate window and it will function exactly like your regular 3D window. I can turn around, I can paint, and I can edit my layer properties if I click on the right click button and call up this menu here. And you can see I can just edit it here. So if you're using, for instance, a tablet, that could be quite practical because you can really make use of your screen space and the whole brush functionalities that way. So, well, I think that is it for me. Thank you for enduring a couple of my dad jokes. Hope it wasn't too painful. I hope you enjoyed the demo and enjoy trying out these new features. Well, Jeremy, the floor is yours, and I hope you have more dad jokes prepared.
Thank you, Valeria. I don't think I have any dad jokes, but yours are always welcome.
Well, thank you.
Cool. So just a quick recap. As Valeria showed, we had that warp projection, new color picker in 7.3. And actually, I just wanted to say that it was really heartwarming for the team to see the kind of outpouring of great feedback for this release. They worked very hard on it, and it was, we're very happy with the reception. 7.4 is coming on the 24th in 2 days from now, and as we saw, there will be color management, which was also a big deal. It's been in the works for a very long time. That undockable 2D and 3D view, the grunge maps, the auto unwrap. Also, we have a small improvements on the auto unwrap workflow, especially when dealing with very elongated islands. Like if you have a cable or something that you need to unwrap, this works much better than before. And for the people interested in the pipeline side of things, you can now call any of the JavaScript API functions from a Python plugin. So that should give you a lot more leeway in the things you can do when creating a Python plugin. That is it for Painter, and I'll send it back to you, Wes.
Thank you so much, Jeremy and Valeria. That was awesome. I can't take credit for Artie. That's actually coming from the wizards of the art and development team. I just want to shout out to those guys. I love that team. And also the being able to take the 2D view and separate it, that just blew my mind because I don't know how, but I completely missed that during all of the betas and everything that we've been running internally. I just found that out for the first time, like right now. So I don't know how I missed it, but that was quite awesome. So with that said, we are now going to move over to Jeanette, who is going to showcase some new information about what's coming with Stager. So take it away, Jeanette.
Thanks, Wes, and so excited to be here. I just wanted to start by saying Stager's new to the Substance 3D family, and the last couple of months has been so inspiring seeing what people are creating from different types of backgrounds from the game and film, character artists. It's been really cool seeing all of that awesome work. So really excited to be part of the group, and let's dive into what's new with Stager. So we have a couple of things I wanted to show today. And since Stager is a newer application, I thought I'd show a couple of the basics as well. So what is Stager? Stager is our new stage design. So it's for scene design, layout, and rendering. So here I have my viewport, and this is my ray tracing mode. So it's GPU powered. I'm on an NVIDIA RTX 3080, and you can see I have interactive ray tracing at 60 frames a second. And this scene has about 1 million polygons, 35 materials, over 133 textures in the scene. And I'm getting beautiful, buttery performance and really gorgeous results. This scene was made by our art and dev team, Geoffrey Rosson, focused on most of the scene. And then we have our arty bot, Artemis, and he's going on a road show, like Valeria said. He's going to be our new mascot #2. He was made by Wes, Gio, and Geoffrey. So here in Stager, I can go ahead and lay out my different scenes, and I can work in either ray tracing or in real time. Up here at the top of the viewport, I'm going to turn ray tracing off for a second so we can see the comparison. So here's my real-time engine. And again, also everything buttery and smooth. And I can instantly jump over to ray tracing with one configuration. All of my materials, all of my lightings, I don't have to change any settings. It just works for me either way. So when you're staging a scene, there's a lot of things that you're going to do, but the most important thing is arranging all of your objects, getting your actual layout of your scene ready. So Stager has a universal transform tool. My select tool allows me to move objects, rotate them, and scale them all with one tool. And in our last release, we also added planar translation. So you can now move on 2 axes at once, which makes this much more efficient for doing almost all your transformations on one tool without switching around. Now, for more complex transforms, sometimes you'll want really precise spacing and alignment. Here we have a couple of different cubes, kind of I forget what those are called, but when you're in a parking spot, they put that piece of cement like a bumper for your car so that you don't accidentally hit walls. I don't know if there's a more formal name for it, but those things. So I'm just going to select on these. I'm hitting just shift, and I'm just selecting all 4 of these. I'm going to hit my D key, and that's going to bring up the distribute tool. And now I can actually go ahead and change. Let me just get a better angle. Here we go. I could actually change the distribution between these in real time, or I could double click on them to get equal distribution. So I could 0 space that out. So I have a ton of control over my different spacing, and it's really easy for me to nudge things around. Now, when it comes to more complex things, I'm working in a pretty big scene here. I have this pile of lights, and I want it to look like they're all kind of collapsed down. But looking at different angles, there's a lot of space between them. It's hard to get that kind of alignment manually. So we also have a really awesome collision alignment. Now, even just making a selection in the scene could be really complicated. So with our select tool, it has that powerful feature where I can just click and drag and kind of push something around. But in this case, I'm pushing and dragging the whole room, which can actually be really distracting. So now we have a new tool. I'm going to come over here to my toolbar. I'm going to right click, and this is going to open all of the different subtools. Here you can see the new Marquee Select tool. So I'm going to activate that. And the Marquee Select tool allows me to start a marquee selection anywhere in the scene, so I can select all my objects without accidentally pushing something. So really, really efficient. Now, all of my objects here you can see in the scene panel, they have collision enabled on them. But one of the things that we found from feedback was a little challenging to know whether collision was on as an overall system. So you'll also notice that up here at the top of the tool, at the top of the interface, we added some new tool options. So it's more similar to Painter or Photoshop. You can now see some of your common tool settings at the top of the viewport. So here you can see whether I'm in a world or local transform space and whether I'm using snapping, or in this case, I want to turn on collision. So now that my collision is on, I'm just going to click and drag that, and you can see those all kind of settle down into place. There we go. I can go crazy with this. I can just rotate these around. Bloop. Collision is really fun to play with and gives me really nice natural results in real time. All right, that's looking pretty good. Let's talk a little bit about the next step of staging. Once you've got all of your elements in place, next thing we're going to work on is lighting. So I'm going to zoom out a little bit just so we can see the whole scene here. And I'm going to select my environment. So by default, Stager uses HDRI lighting. And if I come here to my environment lighting tab, you can see which environment is in place. I can turn on this viewer so that we can get a good view of it. We've got an HDRI light, and then I have it colorized to just give it a blue tone. I can also come here to the background tab, and I'm going to actually turn on my background opacity and turn down the blur so I can see that HDRI in the background. And one of the nice things about working with our suite of tools is familiar shortcuts. So just like our other applications, if I hold down Shift and right click, I can rotate that environment of light around in the background and kind of see how that lighting is starting to look. So let me zoom back in here and just kind of clean that up. Shift right click that a little bit. And then I'm going to turn on ray tracing so I can start to see how my lighting is coming together. All right, shift right click and just adjust my lighting a little bit. All right. Now we also have 3D lights, and one of the nice enhancements with this release is that when I drag and drop a 3D light into the scene, it's actually going to orient at the surface that it's pointing at. So here I want to add a little bit of a rim light on the side of his head. I'm just going to drag an area light, point it right there, and you'll notice that it's oriented directly to the surface normals that I pointed at, and it's offset a little bit so that I can immediately see the results. This puts me in a great position to start my lighting. For this light, I'm going to change the exposure intensity, make it a little bit brighter. And then I can come over here into my temperature tab, and I'm going to change the color temperature of this to something a little on the cooler spectrum. Or I could jump into full RGB mode and pick out any color I want. I have a ton of control over that. All right, I think that's pretty good. Pretty happy with that 3D light there. So one of the new things that we can also do is use some shortcuts to navigate some of our objects. So here I have this arty bot, and I want to just change the intensity of the face, the emission there, make that a little bit brighter. And I could come in here and like try to find where he is in the scene panel. Okay, maybe click on this one and then maybe open that up. One of the nice things is I can actually just hit Command and click on the object, and that's going to direct select it for me. And we have some new shortcuts. You can now use the bracket key. So bracket up to select a parent or bracket down to select children, which makes it really easy for me to find pieces again. So now that I have this selected, I'm just going to switch over to the material tab. And then I can come down here to the emission settings, and I could just pump that emission up just a little bit. All right. The last part of working with my scene for my overall staging workflow is adding a camera. So for this, I'm going to hit the Alt and tilde button, and that's going to create a new camera object for me. And my camera, I can set this to any kind of framing that I'd like. So I can make that smaller, I can make it a square aspect ratio, maybe like 1500 by 1500. And here I can move my camera in this viewport. I can change things like the camera lens, make it wider angle, a little bit more narrow, tons of control over here. Now, when I'm happy with this, I'm going to hop over to render mode where I can do my final rendering. And one of the really nice updates in this latest release is that now you have GPU support for render layers. So I'm going to hop over here to Photoshop where you can see I have the rendered output from my scene. And now I have all of these render layers, including material selection, object selection, and depth layers, all when I'm rendering from GPU. So I don't have to switch between GPU and CPU to get these awesome render layers. And that's going to give me the control to make selections inside of Photoshop so I can make edits like changing the color of Artie all in post. So now he's a fabulous pink. So one of the other things that is a really big update, it's a little harder to show, but maybe you felt it, is we made some significant performance improvements in this release, about 5 to 6 times speed up for loading files, loading objects, and loading materials. Huge effort on the team for all of these improvements. So thanks, it goes out to them. And that's about that. I think, Jeremy, if you want to bring up the slides, we can take a look at the overall list. And thank you again.
Thank you, Jeanette. You may need to stop sharing your screen, I think, and we'll be able to get it. There we go.
Awesome. So I wanted to show a couple of pieces of art from the community that really showcases the range of what you can do with Stager. So we're going to start with a couple of environmental pieces. So I love this concept piece on the left by Emmanuel Chiu. It's really rusted, broken down, kind of looking textured plain, and this really desert landscape has so much atmosphere and personality. Beautiful piece. On the right, we have a piece by Jerry's Dianganan. Sorry, Dianangana. Sorry. And this is really a fabulous piece. I love his work, really blending African design into his environmental 3D work. Really gorgeous. Love those details in that. And really pushing what you can do as Stager to the photorealistic aspect of an environment. Here we have a couple of character pieces on the left that's designed by Stacy Tang. It's one of my favorite. I love those like kind of butterfly organic elements on the ears and the shoulders. Really, really inspirational. Such a cool concept. And the texture blending from, the more realistic skin into this like kind of white stone. Really awesome piece. On the right, we have a collaboration by Gareth Jensen, Gio Nakpil, and Eric Lotard. This piece really showcases subsurface scattering. That skin on the orc is cool and really fun to play with. I've opened the scene in Stager and playing with some of the settings. It's just really awesome looking. And a little bit of a mission on the front of that spacesuit really brings it up. And finally, we have a couple of pieces that showcase a little bit more of like a single asset. So this piece by Zheilong Zhu, who really draws, I love his work. His entire ArtStation gallery is gorgeous, but like draws so much inspiration from Chinese mythology and bringing them to life in these amazing virtual sculptures. And finally, another piece by Wes McDermott, Vladimir Petkovic, and Giovanni Nakpil that showcased a coffee piece for our Adobe Max keynote and really showcases what you can do in terms of product design, graphic design, and branding. So you can see a huge range of what you can do. Staging is just showcasing your ideas, and you can use that in a ton of different ways. So to remind everyone, new application, and we're so excited about the response that we've gotten from everybody so far. Please keep the feedback coming. With our 1.0 release, we launched with a real-time GPU path tracer. You can send your projects directly from Painter to Stager, and now also from Designer to Stager with your 3D models. We have lots of different staging tools, including planar and box snapping, collision transformation, and environment stages, which is a combined asset, including backgrounds and cameras and lighting, so you can get staging your content really quickly. And lots of different lighting tools. I didn't show it all, but our environmental lighting system includes layers. We have 3D lights, and we also have a feature called Match Image, which allows you to bring in a background photo and automatically composite a 3D scene using that background information. And new in this release, which is coming out November 24th, you can also import models without UV so that you can quickly bring in high polygon concept work without having to do any UV generation or manual UVing. We saw some of the overall improvements to the UI, making those transform tools more visible, easier to access, the new marquee selection tool, and other selection improvements. Improvements to the area lights visualization and that they auto-align to surfaces, and the new layered PSD output for GPU renders. And again, not really demoed, but we also now are supported on M1 devices. So you can use Stager on your new Mac devices and all of those beautiful performance improvements. So again, huge thanks to the team, and back to you, Wes.
Thank you so much, Jeanette. Great presentation. So next up, we are going to talk about the Substance Modeler Beta. This is super exciting. And so we have Lydia is here with us today, and she's going to give us more details about the Substance Modeler Private Beta. Take it away, Lydia.
Hello, thank you, Wes. This is very exciting. So I'm Lydia, and I'm the product manager for Modeler. And so Jeremy will be managing the slides, and I'll be sharing some of our awesome art from our private beta program while I ramble on about Modeler. So this first slide, our creations made in Modeler by our lead designer, Joshua Eaton, and it just kind of shows off the range of things that you can make. I would first love to thank both the private beta participants and also the Modeler team. Your feedback and conversations with the team have been so invaluable as we iterate, and honestly, it was really hard to limit the number of slides for this because I wanted to show as much as possible. So Jeremy, if you can go to the next slide. And so these are a couple of paintings from Max Schiller. So if you aren't familiar with Modeler yet, it's basically a modeling app that lets you sculpt both objects and scenes and has both a desktop interface and a VR interface that you can switch seamlessly in between. And if you don't have a VR headset, you can still use Modeler in desktop only mode. And we hope that there are strengths on both sides that that you will want. And so if you are familiar with Medium, it was Modeler's predecessor, which is still available for VR only and available for free. And we're basically building Modeler upon the same sculpting tech as Medium, which is a voxel-based SDF engine. And so Medium was really good at sculpting like individual objects and using very like sort of gestural motions and stuff, especially in VR. In Modeler, we want to carry that over, bring that power to desktop, and also add assembly features so that it will be easy to construct complex scenes and objects with a lot of repeating features. So next slide, please, Jeremy. So these are some really quick sketches by Thijs Haag Jacobsen. I didn't want to show just like final pieces. I also wanted to show just like really quick sketches that people have been doing in the beta just to show off its power. Like some of these took only like an hour or something like that. So our initial goal for 1.0 Modeler is to make it easy for designers and concept artists to translate ideas from their head to a 3D scene. And so we want things to feel as fast as like sketching with a pen in 3D. That not only means like we want a UI that is like very fluid, but also an engine that is extremely performant and can handle a lot of like heavy geometry. And so a lot of the beta testers are concept artists who use Modeler to iterate. And then, so they'll generate 3D concepts and scene layouts, and then they'll export to other tools. And often the process is to generate final production assets or renders or paintovers for concepting. And the main idea is to basically start blurring the line between what a concept is and a final product is. So like, as we build this thing, hopefully more and more, you won't see like this amazing concept art and then suddenly, like the final product is like, oh, it kind of got there, but maybe like 50, 75% or something like that. Hopefully more and more that gap will be narrowed. Next slide, please, Jeremy. So this is a great example created by Gio Nakpil from the art and development team. He sculpted one of these bugs, and then he quickly copied like 2 more of these and then started to create variations on his design. So with the assembly features, you can link various parts of your design. And then, so when you change it, it will change across like all of them, or you can break the link and and then you can just like, create different variations. It's like super, super fast. And it's like one of the most powerful features that we've added. Jeremy, next slide. So the left, the ships are created by Sterling Osment, and then the right is created by Christopher Klein. And these are just like great examples of this tool that we used to call Move Tool in Medium, but now it's called Warp Tool. And it's basically a really powerful tool which lets you, warp shapes and stuff. And you can see that it's not only like really useful for organic shapes, but even for hard surface objects, it's great for like, designing the curvature of like various like hard surfaces and stuff. And also I wanted to note that, for example, in Medium, we had a voxel resolution for each clay layer of about 2048 voxels cubed. And recently we've added some changes so that now each layer is 1024 times 1024 voxels in each axis. So now the voxel, the resolution for a layer is about 1 million cubed. So essentially, like, assuming you can manage your computer memory well, you have like pretty much infinite resolution per layer. So next slide, Jeremy. So these sculpts on the left are by Vlad Petkovic. And then on the right, there's Jan Hao at the top, and then at the bottom is Martin McGee. So a lot of the beta artists have also been testing our desktop UX. And a lot of the feedback we've been getting is that they really love doing the more precise work, especially for like hard surface objects or like vehicles and stuff like that on the desktop side. And then they'll put their headset on and then switch to VR when they're doing like more organic things, like even for a hard surface object, something like, you know, the curvature of a wire or a cord or something like that is super easy to do in VR. Next slide. But we've also seen other, you know, workflows as well. So like for organic modelers, sometimes they like to do the blockout stage in VR where they're doing, you know, the large organic forms. And then, you know, like primary and secondary forms, as Gio likes to put it. And then they'll switch to desktop when they start to do more tertiary forms and like surface details. And oh yeah, these are by Danny McGrath on the left and Jiri Ulako on the right. So next slide, please. So I just wanted to include this one because I really love like cute, highly stylized art. The one on the left is by Jasmine Johnson, and then a couple more on the right by Joshua Eaton. And so we have a large number of folks testing the beta right now, but we're actually looking for more people. So right now we have mostly like film concept art people, game, film animation. We have some fine artists and we also have some product designers, but I'm also looking for people who are more 2D backgrounds who are kind of like dipping their toes into 3D for the first time. So, you know, if you have a graphic design background or a motion design background, please sign up for the beta and we'll try to get you in. Okay, so this next thing, I wanted to show off a video by Art and Development. So Mike, if you don't mind starting the video and I'll start talking over it. Thank you. So this credit goes to the Art and Development team, specifically Gio Nakpil, Jaffe Rosen, and Eric Lotard. While this is playing, I wanted to highlight some of the notable features in Modeler. So on desktop, you can see that there's a gizmo-based UI that should give you the type of precision that you're familiar with in other desktop tools. And we will also give you interactions that aim to make even the gizmo UX more gestural and flowy. And you can also see that we've added, you know, non-uniform shape primitives for quick blocking out of primary forms. And here, Gio is switching to VR to block out the more organic shapes of like this weird alien on the back of this truck. I think his inspiration was like the Tokyo fish market. I don't know, this thing might make like really bizarre tasting sushi or something. So you can see like a lot of the strength is, you know, primary, secondary, and tertiary forms in Modeler. And then here, Gio sends it to Painter, where Joffrey adds more surface detail, materials and paint on the alien, and then you can. Oh, and also I think Eric also worked on surfacing this truck here. And so we want the export to be from Painter, like to Painter from Modeler to be as smooth as possible. And then at the very end here, Eric will send it to Stager and he'll set up the lighting environment and then produce the final render. Okay, and if we could go back to the slide deck, please. I just wanted to reiterate, right now, the beta of Modeler is Windows only, and we officially support Oculus headsets, although I've heard that people have used others. If you don't have a VR headset, you can still use desktop on its own. So please follow this link to sign up for the beta, and especially if you have like 2D backgrounds or even like architectural backgrounds. And if you don't get into the private beta, don't worry. We are working on an open beta date, and it should be sometime early next year. So stay tuned for that. And I'll give it back to Jeremy. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lydia. Yeah, Modeler is super, super fun. We've all been toying with it internally, and it's really shaping up to be something very special and very, very different from what it is out there, but really, really fun to play with. All right, so we kind of went around the Substance 3D tools, but now that we're part of Adobe, that ecosystem is bigger than just the apps themselves. And so one of the things that we can leverage is Creative Cloud Desktop, and you probably know Creative Cloud Desktop just as a launcher for your apps, but there's actually a lot more to create a cloud desktop, and you now have access to the assets platform right into the launch, like the same way you could have access to it from the Substance launcher before. If you go in the stock and marketplace tab and you go in the 3D tab, you'll have access to all the materials of the asset library. And like on the website or on the launcher, you can search for the material you want. You'll be able to see a preview of that material. You'll have access to a 3D player where you can actually tweak the material to make sure that actually you can, get the results you want from it. And once you're happy with it, you can actually send it directly to Sampler or to the Painter asset library. Also in the future, you'll be able to send it directly to Designer and Stager. Right now, only the materials available, but we're working on also making models and the other formats available as well. Another part of that ecosystem is Adobe Bridge, and we talked a little bit about Adobe Bridge in June when we launched the Adobe offer. But Bridge is basically a media management system, and so you can manage your photos, your images, your vector graphics, your videos, but also your SBSAR and your Substance materials. So if you have large libraries of materials, it's a really great way to be able to browse and search for those with actual thumbnails. If your Substance materials have thumbnail, they will show up here. If they don't, Bridge will automatically generate thumbnails for all your materials. So it's really, really helpful. You also have access, you can see on the right here, you also have access to all the metadata in that SBSAR, and you can actually modify that metadata without having to edit the SBSAR by hand, which also is a huge time saver if you just want to add a few tags or just fix, for example, a typo or a description of the name of the Substance file. Another part of the ecosystem is Adobe Capture. Adobe Capture is a mobile app, and you're actually able today using Capture. It's a free app. You can actually use Capture to capture material. You just take a picture. It will use bitmap to material to generate a SBSAR for you, a full material. Starting next year, we'll actually integrate the AI-based image to material that you can find in Sampler today directly inside of Capture. So you'll be able to leverage that really powerful material creation tool on the go on your phone. Just take a picture and get a material out of it. Right now, we have a closed beta running, and the release is expected next year in 2022. We're also trying to see how Substance can add to the other Adobe apps, and especially the flagship app like Illustrator and Photoshop. And Illustrator released a few weeks ago a new version that actually has 3D support, where you can take any of your vector graphics in Illustrator, you can extrude it, create a 3D models from it. You can use the same path trace renderer that we have in Stager directly in Illustrator to create very nice shadows and lighting. And you can also load any Substance material that you have onto those models. So you can create very nice and very complex 3D shapes and 3D graphic directly in Illustrator by using the power of the Substance tool. So it's really cool. We're also working on an integration in Photoshop. It's not quite ready yet, but it's coming. So we're working with all these different other teams at Adobe to try to spread the Substance love as much as we can across Adobe. That's it for our update today. A few things I want to remind people of. On November 30th, a week from now, the automatic monthly renewal on the Substance 3D subscription will stop, and so you'll have to transfer your subscription to adobe.com. So we'll be publishing a guide. These are just a few steps here, but we'll be publishing a guide that allows you to easily transfer to that new Adobe subscription. You'll just basically have to create an Adobe account if you don't have one. Choose your plan. If you have the Substance legacy plan, you can basically get the Substance 3D texturing plan, which is the same plan, same price, but on the Adobe side. If you have an annual subscription, you'll be able to get a prorated refunds for your subscription. You'll also be able to transfer all your asset credits from the asset platform that you may not have spent onto your new account as well. You can also try the texturing plan. You can also try the collection plan, and right now it's actually 50% off. So you get Painter, Designer, Sampler, Stager, the 3D models, material, lighting on the assets platform, a lot of content for basically $25 a month. So basically $5 more than the texturing plan for a year. So if you go on substance3.adobe.com/discount, you'll be able to get that offer. If you have any question, if you have issues while transferring your account, please don't hesitate to contact us at contact@substancefree.com, and we'll help you out. Another reminder as well is we launched a week ago the Great Shoecase Contest, which is a painter and stager contest for designing a shoe. And there's some really cool stuff already that we're seeing on different on the social networks about people creating really amazing kind of design. We created a cool video to kind of introduce the contest. So let's roll the video. So again, the goal is basically we give you the model of a shoe, and it's up to you to create an amazing design, create the renders in Stager, and we have some amazing prices from our partners. Again, and lastly, just a reminder for Black Friday, the whole collection is at 50% off, and you can get that through on adobe.com. And also, it's also on sale on Steam starting on the 24th. And now back to you, Wes, and I think we're going to switch to Q&A.
Yes, thank you so much, Jeremy, and thank you so much to the team. Awesome presentations. And so now we can just move right into our Q&A. So we had lots of team members that were in the chat collecting questions. So I'm just going to drag over here this document, and let's just start running through. So we have our panel up, and I'll start just running through some questions for everybody here. I guess I could just take it from the top. Okay, so right off the top here, I love how they have some nice categories for us. This is great. Thank you, guys. So the 3D space. So one of the questions here was, I'd like to hear how Adobe sees itself moving forward in the 3D space, vis-a-vis, I guess, talking about Autodesk, Maxon, Blender, question mark. I'm not sure who wants to take that one. Maybe Jeremy, Seb?
Seb, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, I can take that one. Thank you. So, well, first, we love that space. It's our space, right? We love that, and we come from that space. We want to really empower all artists, and it's when you think about it, it's the very mission of Adobe at large, like not only a 3D space but at large, like empowering creatives, right? And so our team here, the 3D and immersive team inside of Adobe, our mission is really empower all creatives with 3D. And with 3D means like the tools can be used to produce 3D content that help like 2D or 3D or whatever output you can think of. So really, it's about empowering artists with this space. Like, it's not necessarily the end space for all these creatives, but it's a space that can be super useful when you create, like, of course, all these images that we've seen before, and also all these products that will end up being produced like in real life. So it's really our objective here. And when you think about like how do we want to empower all these creatives, there is no real limit there, right? So we don't impose any limits on ourselves, and what we want to provide is the best set of tools, the best set of content, a set of services, all connected in an ecosystem or a system of tools and products that help like all creatives out there like make a living and be creatives, and that's the whole goal. So like the short answer is there's no limit. We really want to make sure that Adobe is like empowering all creatives, including with 3D tools. And this is our very mission here. And we're very excited. We've seen like new functionalities, new tools. Stager is one. New functionalities like parametric modeling in Designer. You will see more in Sampler soon. Also, Modeler obviously is here to like people sculpt and go crazy in their ideas. And so we have more in the works, and we cannot wait to show everything. But yes, we're here excited, no limits to ourselves. And yeah, I guess that was a long answer, in fact. Sorry.
Thanks, Seb. That was a great answer. Okay, so the next one, will Substance still support or have support for Linux?
Yeah, I mean, like it's a space where same thing. Like we see, it's a narrow, of course, it's a narrow community, but it's a very very important one to us. Like not only is it like one of the most like used system in the VFX world, but also we realize like it's one of these spaces when you use Linux, that means you're tech savvy and you want to control what you're doing. And so usually the users we have on this platform are the ones who are pushing the envelope. And so for us, it's important to support that community and this space of VFX. The high-end VFX houses usually use Linux. So yes, absolutely, it's a system that we want to keep supporting. And we had to find ways to distribute like Linux tools using the Adobe distribution tools that were not ready. I mean, like some part was available, but we had to find ways. And so I'm happy to say that we found some ways. It's not perfect by any means, but like it's definitely something we want to fight for. Yeah.
Thank you, Seb. So moving over to let's see here, new features tech. Any chance of seeing animation options or versions for USDZ?
I was going to say, like, animation is an important part of our vision. Like, none of our applications support animation directly today, but it's something we've talked about both in context of Painter, like bringing in an animated asset, and being able to scrub through and paint on certain things and see how that's impacting it. Animation is obviously a huge part of the Stager vision. So no updates today, but animation, I think, will be something we're moving forward with for sure. For USD versions, I don't know, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, USD, that's linked to it, but USD in general is something we're really pushing towards in the coming year, and you'll see a lot more support and a lot more progress on that front coming from us in the next few months and years.
Awesome. So with Painter, will Painter have nodes similar to Mari, perhaps having a mode in Painter that instances a session of Designer? Do we have any plans for something like that?
There is no plans for that, but it's something we thought about many times, and the conclusion was always that it was not going to be as great as it looks in our head when we think about it. And so we never did it. I can't say it's never going to happen, but there's no concrete plans today. Designer is so powerful on its own. Trying to embed that node graph into another app would surely come at the cost of some of that power. And so that's why right now it's still its own app.
I would say with that too, like I think maybe more of a focus on the interop or improving the interop between Designer and Painter. So like
that's definitely
like
where we want to make progress for sure.
Awesome. Here, this is a great question. Can we have a pen tool in Substance Painter?
A pen tool?
Yeah, like curves. Can we? I'm sure that's what it is. But yeah,
it maybe at some point.
Stuff like
I
that.
was going to say the same thing. Maybe. We always have some plans.
Yeah.
Maybe working on some things.
Yes. Wait for it.
Okay. Yeah. I guess this is another Painter question here. Any updates on the anchor points rework? Any ideas on how we could streamline that?
Definitely something that we've thought about. So it's not like a new topic that comes out of nowhere. But since it's quite a complex feature, it has to be really well thought through. So hopefully at one point we will get to making it more user friendly.
Okay, and this is another painter question. I think like it's asking what happened to the Oculus Rift prototype around 2018. I think we showed like Painter VR. Can anyone comment on that?
It's still a prototype. We to be honest, it hasn't been a lot of work going on to the making Painter work on VR until now. That's something that we may revive or bring back in the future, especially now that we have the modeler team has like amazing knowledge and and amazing skill sets in terms of VR rendering for VR and VR UX and things like that. So I think something that we're very interested in. It's just that it hasn't been we've been able to work on the past couple of years.
Okay, and yeah, I have a lot of different software categories, so let me try to mix this up a little bit. So there's lots more of Painter we can get back to, but Lydia, let me jump into some Modeler questions for you. It says, where will Modeler be available when it's released? Steam, subscriptions? Do we know that yet?
We don't know that yet, but we are listening to the community, and we would like to release in all the places that people want us to release. But I don't want to give any like final decisions right now. But we are listening. That's all I can say.
Okay, and this is a pretty cool question. It says, what has been the most valuable feedback on Modeler so far?
Oh yeah, I touched on this briefly in the chat thread, but really it's about knowing what is most important. So like the most important thing is that sense of like kind of losing yourself while you're like sculpting something, like kind of like when you're drawing or doing any sort of art where you have like this really deep focus. We don't want to lose that while we add more and more features, especially for like assembly or export or whatever. Like basically, if something is not part of that core interaction loop, we make it slower and we don't compromise on that core loop.
Okay, thank you. And yeah, I'm going to keep you guys on your toes, so I'm going to switch gears really quick. Jeanette, Stager. So let's see. Does Stager allow you to get an AO pass? If not, is this something that could be there in the future?
We don't do an AO pass today. We support AO maps on the import side, but not as a render pass, which I'm assuming is what the input was for. Definitely possible. Right now we output a depth pass, a material pass, and an object pass. Adding more is very feasible. So definitely let me know what you want on the Discord, on the chat, or on our forums. Always listening for requests like that. Pretty easy to do, in fact.
Great, thank you. How heavy or dense geometry can Stager handle in real time?
Oh, well, it's funny. I was actually going to demo another part, which was importing the UV list model, and that was a 10 million polygon model. It still ran at 60 FPS. So at least as of today, I've tested a 10 million polygon. It's really dependent on hardware, though. Obviously, more powerful computer, you're going to have a better experience at better run times to a larger degree of polygons and materials. We've tested up to about like 50 million polygons on, a upper end 3080, 3070 style GPU. So roughly there, but depends on your hardware.
And then Jeanette, also with like displacement, like I've had where I've brought in like a displaced like plane where it's just subdivided and then added like a substance material and then did the displacement. And man, I think it was like 100 million polygons or something crazy. Like, so I mean, you also have that range as well, right? I mean, it's from what I've seen too, it's been quite dense.
Yeah, as long as you've got the machine capable of handling it, you can go pretty far, and the speed stays interactive, again, depending on your hardware, up to 50, 100 million polygons easily.
Okay, awesome. All right, so switching up again, this one's for you, Jeremy, specifically. Will Substance Painter support 3D mice or mouse, the 3D mouse? Let's say that. I don't know if you say mice or mouse.
What can I say? It will. I can say it will. I can't say exactly when, but for the first time, in the 5 years that people have been asking for it, I can say it will. I commit to it.
That's a big change. Yeah.
It's a big commitment.
Oh, okay.
Revealing all our secrets, Jeremy.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Whoa, that's a bold statement there.
Coming 2028.
Yeah. Okay. Here's another one for either Jeremy or Valeria. Will we have the ability to merge texture sets? That gets asked a lot, so I wanted to put that in there.
You go for it, Valeria, or should I?
Well, Again, not a new topic that we haven't talked about, but it's not yet on the near horizon, let's say.
Okay, thank you. Let's see. Let's switch it up to. Let's go back to Modeler. Lydia, let's see here. This is a good one. Can I make watertight models for 3D printing in Modeler?
Yeah, so with the assigned distance field mesh tech that we have, it's really trivial to make watertight meshes, and that's actually one of the main things that we've always wanted to enable for people.
Okay, great. And there was kind of a second part to this as well. It was asking, can Modeler create manifold and hollow meshes for 3D printing with resin?
Yeah, so one of the awesome things about assigned distance fields is that it's really easy to create shells. We don't have that exposed yet in the tool, but if you want to create like kind of like a hollow print and stuff, that will be possible, but not yet.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so Stager, Jeanette, this one is praying for UDEM support for Stager to come soon.
Oh,
Do you have
yeah.
any comments on that? I think we
I
all
don't
are.
have any comments for that. I'm also praying for it. It would be nice to be able to send all of my painter scenes over to Stager. So I'm praying to
Yeah.
myself.
It seems inevitable.
It's going to happen at some point. It's a
Yeah.
matter of when.
Yeah, and this one here, is there a Z-depth pass available?
Yes, the render pass does include a Z-depth pass.
And that's on both CPU and GPU as well.
Yep. CPU and GPU both have identical render passes now. So woohoo, no more switching back to CPU just to do a render pass layer.
Okay, so let's do this one yet. Let's jump back to Painter. Does Substance Painter, of course, let you import multiple UDIMs at a time from one model yet?
Multiple using the time for you can import a collection of UDIM. Basically, if you have like a set of UDIM like with like 56 different tiles, you can import it as one asset, and that will bring everything in. I don't know if you can import a model that would have UDIM applied. If I don't think it would bring them automatically and apply them automatically. I don't think we have that because I know the only way we import textures automatically is through GLTF. I don't think that supports UDIMs yet. So I think you would still have to import them separately and then apply them in Painter.
This is a Painter question as well. Is there any ETA on a shortcut or macro recording system for Painter?
There is no ETA. It's a good idea of a feature, but it's not something that's planned today.
Okay, great. Let's see here. Will Substance Painter eventually support displacement baking? Valeria, these are for you as well. Like any of you guys.
I understand. I'm just very shy.
Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
I'm kidding. It's not that. It's just Jeremy answers so eloquently that I don't want to take it away from him. But indeed, we've talked about it, and it is something that we're interested in doing at some point soon.
Okay, awesome. Let's go back to Modeler. Can Modeler export as STL file?
No, but STL easily translates from OBJ, so that's what most people have been using for 3D printing.
Okay. Is there someone particular that you can bribe to be on the panel to get access to beta? So are any of you guys taking bribes for beta access?
I'm always open for a good bribe, but I have no control over that beta. Sorry.
So please send all bribes to Jeanette, and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, feel free to reach out to me. We just reach out to our communities. We have a Discord, and there's also like the old Medium Facebook group as well. Medium by Adobe artists, I believe.
Okay, this one was asking if we could export height information from Modeler so it can be used in Designer or even any other application.
That would be really useful. It would probably be, it depends on if that height information requires like UVs or just like what form of that height information, but yeah, Not currently, but that's good feedback.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to switch this one to some designer questions here. I guess this is talking about the model graph specifically. Just asking, will this work in Unreal Engine and modified if they're like the SBSR files? So I guess this question is, we have this new procedural model format. Are we going to be able to use this in other applications beyond Stager at some point?
Definitely. I mean, Stager is just the first step. We want like the Substance engine for material is pretty much everywhere now. Our goal is to do the same with the geometry engine. It was built for that. It's just a matter of timing and resources. But definitely, we want to bring that kind of functionality to Unreal, to Unity, to other game engines and apps out there.
Okay, awesome. This one was like a 3D assets question, so it's kind of open to just whoever would like to answer. Just asking, are these 3D models, again, the ones from the 3D assets site, base meshes to use or fully complete models?
They are kind of what I would call kit bashing models. So they are really well topologized, really well UV'd, but they don't come with materials or textures pre-assigned, so that they can be easily, you can just drag a material on and assign and a look to them. So they're kind of like kit bash. You can combine, mix and match, apply textures really quickly, but they don't come pre-textured, if that was the question. Adobe Stock does have pre-textured models as well. So you can have both. Have your cake and eat it too.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, and one of the things about the models as well, like you said, Jeanette, is that the topology is well done. They're UV'd, but the way that they were described to me before by Nico was that you're also able to like if you take them into Maya or another application, you can use them with sub-D. They can be displaced pretty easily. So yeah, they're pretty flexible. Okay, let's see here. There's a lot of Painter questions, so I'm going to jump back over to Painter. This is a great question. So is there a hotkey for color picking? Can we assign a hotkey to the color picker as well?
Not yet, but I don't know if it fits the workflow of the person asking, but the material picker has a hotkey, which is P.
Okay, I think that was one where they specifically said don't have the answer be P, the material picker.
Well,
so
not yet. Then you can
Yeah.
stop my answer at that point.
Yeah, I love the option in Photoshop where you hit the I key, and it brings up the little eyedropper, and you can sample right in the canvas and pick a color. I love that. That's my vote. So let's see here. Another one is, can we finally set the material views separately in the 3D and 2D views? I guess they're still linked, right?
Yes. Again, not yet. I should just like have a sign that says not yet,
Okay, sorry guys. Okay, let me look for another question here. Okay, this is a good one. Any plans for storing the color themes, swatches that you make in Painter, perhaps via, the Creative Cloud libraries or anything like that?
Well, again, we have talked about it, and the version of the color picker that you see now is meant to be like the first improvement, so to say, but there are other improvements that will be forthcoming in the future.
Okay, and this one here is asking, will we have control over the display transform? So I guess this is about the new the color management system.
The answer to that is yes, you can control the display transform, and you can control it separately if you dedock one of your viewports as well. So you can have your one viewport be one color management and the other one the other one.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to jump back over to Stager. So Jeanette, does Stager have a render to web option, like if you wanted to make a 3D presentation on the web?
Yeah, actually, if you are inside of Stager, up in the top right corner, there's a little publish icon. You just click on that and you can publish any scene as a GLB file. It'll go to your CC assets folder, and then it will generate a public shareable link. So you can share that with colleagues. It has an embedded commenting system, so people can leave comments for review, or you can also get an embed code and then embed that 3D viewer into other websites like your Behance portfolio or ArtStation portfolio, things like that. Definitely looking for feedback on the publish to web workflow as well, something we're really interested in.
Oh, okay, awesome. That's great. Lydia, here's another modeler question. This one's, I guess, kind of more open. It's saying, tell us some of the best experiences when using Modeler that help artists think differently.
Really, it comes down to kind of like the gestural workflows, I'll say, like, because even on desktop, we have a gizmo. So I think people are familiar with that type of workflow, but we also have kind of extended the gizmo so that you can make, so it can kind of feel more like, like clay sculpting, like you're laying down strokes, you're also cutting and like carving and all that stuff. In VR, of course, like the 6th degree of freedoms that you have is like just super powerful, and you can just like pretty much like hold something in your hand and like sculpt it exactly like clay, but with undo and all that. so really it's all about just like we want it to feel as playful as possible, so you're not like messing with like sort of the technical constraints of a mesh.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Lydia. Let's see here. Another question, just this one's near the top of the sheet here, was just asking about new improvements coming with the Blender integration. I know that we do have some coming that's still developed on. I don't know if maybe Jeremy or anyone wants to comment any more.
Yeah,
on that.
there's work ongoing on the Blender integration. I'm not sure the exact roadmap and the priorities, but the team is just listening to the requests from the community. And there's a beta group ongoing where we constantly get feedback and refine it. So work is definitely ongoing, and there'll be new feature added.
Yeah, I can definitely say they're hard at work on it. I actually used one of the latest versions like a week and a half ago, like that they put out, and the main thing is that they're just really tightening up the workflow. It's becoming a lot more smooth, a lot well, I guess better integrated, you could say. But yeah, I was really impressed of how nice it's becoming. It's actually a pretty solid integration. Okay, let's see here. Still some more Painter. So coming back to you, Valeria. This one was, any plans to optimize the Painter autosave feature?
We didn't have any plans for that as of yet, but if you could be a bit more precise as to what you would like optimized, just, so we take that into account if we discuss that in the future, that would be great.
Awesome. And then this one was asking, will there be any documentation or breakdown of making OCIO work in different DCCs with Painter? So I guess it's looking for like, we'll have documentation on how color management works, but will there be any like little guides on like, OCIO with, Painter going to Blender or Maya or something like that? Do you know? I'm not sure if Fabrice is working on that or not.
He's definitely working on some documentation, but I'm not
Yeah.
sure how in detail it will go for like plugin works. I guess he can always try and take that into account if there is a request for it.
Okay, yeah, that's a pretty good feedback there. And so this is another Painter question, just asking about a lasso tool in Painter. That's a good one. It's been a long time. We don't have a lasso tool.
Jeremy, you want to take that one?
Yeah,
so I
Jeremy.
don't repeat myself.
Sure. Not yet. No, not yet. But we're doing some work. I think that that will solve multiple problems in the future around I think the pen tool is kind of linked as well.
Yeah.
Could use same things in the back end. So we're working on things that will make that easier in the future. That's all I can say, right?
Yeah, I would love to see the polygon fill tool get some love. I mean, because there's a lot of great use cases for it, but could use a little tweak here and there. Let's see here. Well, okay, this one's asking if Substance Painter will eventually support displacement baking.
I think we've already gone over that question. Something like that, if I'm
Yeah,
not
it was something
mistaken.
similar. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
sorry, guys.
there's no ETA, but yeah, we know.
Something
we
that
need
we
it.
would like to look into.
Okay, all right. Sorry about that one, guys. Is there any plan for improving stencil painting? Non-uniform scale, easier usage?
Yeah, these are some of the things that we'd like to get to at some point. Stencil hasn't been touched in a long time. Just a matter of priorities. And so if you want these improvements, please go to pester us on the forums and on Discord and on user voice and wherever we can hear your voice. And because that's really part of how we build that roadmap is depending on what people ask. So the more you ask for it, the more chances we'll actually do it.
Okay, great. Well, guys, I think that's the last question we had time for. We went over quite a bit. So one of the things I do want to mention is the team in the chat. I think they've been posting a Q&A. Let's see. Yeah, they've been posting a survey link in the chat. So if you guys could please just share your feedback, just like Jeremy was just saying. That's kind of our lifeblood, so to speak, just getting your feedback so we know what you guys are wanting to do, so that we can act on it. And I believe that link was already shared in the chat. And with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and start closing out the live stream. So if anybody has any closing messages or anything.
Insert meaningful statement about life and happy holidays. No.
Okay. Well, I'll say I want to get. I would love to give a special thanks and a shout out to everyone on the team at 3D&I. Our speakers that we've had here today is just a small sample of the team. We have so many passionate team members that are back home, hard at work. They're maybe even watching the stream, and none of this is possible without them. So thank you to all of them. Also, just a thank you to everyone watching. We greatly appreciate your support. Again, none of us would be here if it wasn't for you guys either. So we look forward to your feedbacks, and we just really can't wait to see what you create. We will be at GDC next year, and hopefully we will be there in person, which would be awesome to see everybody in person. That is on March 21st through the 25th. We're going to host a Substance event at GDC, so that will be like a day full of session with industry experts. And so with that said, we'll close things out. I just want to say take care, everyone. Be safe. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.